Are you worried about the low pay and instability of online ESL companies? Or maybe you're curious about how to become a freelance online teacher but don't know where to start. In this video, you'll learn why LearnCube is a fantastic solution for anyone who wants to become a freelance online teacher. If you'd like to find out about LearnCube's virtual classroom tools, optional curriculum, payment gateways, lesson scheduling, and branding, then join me as I explore the LearnCube virtual classroom with Alex Asher. Thanks, Alex, so much for joining us today. So can you tell us a little bit about what LearnCube is?
Absolutely. So LearnCube, we're 7 years old, and we are a virtual classroom and online school solution for particularly language tutors and language schools. The virtual classroom you can kind of see here. So it's demonstrably a classroom, but made for language teaching. I'm going to show you more about the whiteboards and how that all kind of works. But I think one thing that people may not be immediately aware of is we have what's called our online school Lite. That's the thing we're going to be talking about today. And that's everything that wraps around an interactive online class like this. Like, how do I schedule? How do I get payments? How do I manage my students? How do I manage my content? How can I access content? All of those sorts of things we actually solve as well in this all-in-one solution, which is called our online school Lite. So virtual classroom and online school made for language education.
So I've been using LearnCube for the past 2 weeks and just kind of testing it out, and I've really been enjoying it. So let's check it out.
Awesome. So what you're going to see here is the virtual classroom. We're currently in our conversation mode. And would you like me to just show you some of the tools, particularly around the whiteboard? Because I know that that's probably the most important thing for a lot of people here. So this is our standard view for the classroom. So it's really intuitive for the teachers and students. People know exactly where things are. You're not going to lose where your chat or your video is. It's all really easy to find. The whiteboard is the critical part. And with LearnCube, we have a multi-tab whiteboard. So that means that you have these different whiteboards at the top and you can create new whiteboards. Now, one of the things I think people really confuse about a whiteboard is it's not just a place where you can scribble a couple of things. It's a place where you can embed materials, whether that be images, PDFs, even things like Google Docs, YouTube videos. It's a really exciting experience, and I'm going to definitely show you a little bit more about that. But what do you feel are the most common tools that students and teachers might be familiar with, Jamie?
Yeah, well, I think if you're teaching young learners, some sort of pencil tool is important for them to be able to match and circle. If you have older learners, being able to type sentences. So yeah, it's great that there's all these different tools that you can use that are probably similar to some of the platforms that maybe people have taught on before.
So I'm just trying to go through some of these just to kind of highlight exactly the things that you've brought up. So, hey, how can I, even for example, we offer little sort of stamps which provide like badges of approval, whether it be a star, somebody's doing well, or ticks and crosses if you're marking. Even things that seem a little bit simple but are really important. Things like even just being able to block out text if you don't want to distract somebody from something. And then I'll show you as well, we have things like the pointer tool, which helps you get exactly on the right part of the page. It should be really intuitive for people and really should provide the rich number of tools that somebody would expect with a professional virtual classroom.
So I hear that LearnCube offers optional ESL curriculum and materials. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, I can. So again, one part of this is that is an optional part of what we do. What we have is an online library. And I think that's one of the things that really differentiates us from, say, a generic video conferencing software like Zoom. But basically, all your materials can be saved to the cloud inside LearnCube. So I want to make that clear that this is only optional. You can still use all of your own content. But if you are wanting to look at LearnCube's content, which is constantly developing and expanding, then let me tell you about it. It's all accessible from inside the virtual classroom, which I'm going to be able to show you in this video. when you subscribe to it, you get access to all of the content. So particularly for our online school Lite product, you don't have to get one for young learners, one for general or adult learners, and one for business learners. You can just get one subscription and that covers everything. It's also unlimited for you as an individual teacher. One thing that's really important before I start even showing you around the content is just to know that basically we have levels just like the CEFR, so A1 to C1. For young learners, as an example, we have A1, A2, B1, and B2. And in each of those levels, we usually have units. And those units usually have about 17 to 18 of these units in each of those levels. And each of those units usually takes 2 to 3 private classes, or it could be a little bit longer if it's in a group class. Seeing is believing. So let me just show you around. Let's use an example of our young learner content, and I'll kind of show you around what each unit would have. A unit would be like this. You could see at the top there's up to 28 pages. And remembering that with LearnCube's whiteboard, this isn't like a screen share. These are pages that you can actually write on and are unique to that relationship between the teacher and student. In this case, it's about discussing interests and hobbies. It's an A2 level for our young learner content. Now, we also do have young learner content for very young, sort of 4 to 8, and then young learner content that really is in that bridge between sort of 8 to 12 years. Before we have our sort of general content, which I guess fits a more kind of teen base. In the materials here, you can search for it and then bring it straight into the whiteboard. In the unit, we generally have this second page, which explains the goals. Our content, not only is it based on the CEFR, but it's also competency based. So at the end of every unit, we expect our learner to be able to do something. And we find this a lot more motivating. Typically, the unit has some activities. It's very visual. It's also white label. So you're not going to see somebody else's brand on this. It can feel a lot more like your brand. And we can talk about how LearnCube actually handles branding a little bit later. And you can see here that you can access the vocabulary at the top, and you could ask a student, for example, to write or even just use the arrow tool to show where they want to go. See it as a base rather than, this is not a prescription. You're a professional teacher, so this is more just to fill in, I guess, that base level. A lot of teachers I've seen use lots of different YouTube that they like, audio files that they like, worksheets that they create. You actually are fantastic at this, Jamie, with Canva. But there's so much opportunity to really complement this with your own materials, and I'll show you around. But one thing I did want to kind of point out, particularly with the young learner content, is the fact that you have these hearts here, and that's actually just a simple tool. You can use it or you don't have to, but some people use it like live. So if a student doesn't get something right, you can take down a life, and if they do something really well, you can add another life. So it's just a fun way of kind of making that really easy and interactive at the same time. I did want to take you through, again, sort of the main structure of a unit. So it usually would have a vocabulary session, and then at the very end, we actually have a review section. If you're doing any homework or that kind of thing, again, LearnCube with the Online School Lite actually has a homework feature. I won't get into that today because it's kind of, it's really cool, but it might take a little bit of time. Usually we'll have a listening exercise, we'll have a reading exercise, which you can find at page 11. So you can see that in every unit, you really should have the full spectrum of skills, but we focus on speaking. If it's a live class, that's the main reason somebody's with you as a teacher, and that's the thing that we're going to be promoting the most.
So when I had my first freelance students, they were in Spain and I was in Australia, and trying to figure out the payment was a complete nightmare. So can you tell us a little bit about LearnCube's payment gateways and how that works for teachers and students?
Totally. So the first thing to understand about the Online School Lite is that we use a system called class credits. And that's something that hopefully you're probably familiar with. A lot of people sell their language classes basically like credits, like, hey, buy 10 classes, buy 100 classes, and I'll give you a certain price. And so basically you're creating plans. I mean, that's by far the best way to do it, by the way, as well. Like we've we've talked to so many people that used to do this whole invoicing thing and waiting for people to pay, and it's just horrible because then you're having to chase people, and nobody likes to be both the teacher and the account person trying to follow up with late payments. It's an awful experience. If you can just send somebody to a page, you have your plans, people buy a plan, job done, and then they can use up those plans. A plan looks like something like this in LearnCube. We actually have a YouTube video that really explains this much better than even what I'll be able to do visually now. But simply put is you will have, let's say, 3 plans. You don't want to have too many, otherwise people don't know even where to start. You have a couple of plans and people can pay by usually credit card or PayPal. We do have other payment options coming up because some people find that important. But for right now, the most important ones is somebody can pay by credit card or PayPal. In each plan, you basically tell us, hey, how many classes is somebody buying? Let's say it's 1 class, let's say it's 10 classes. And when somebody pays, that means that on their account, on the student's account, that increases by the correct number. So Jamie, if I was your teacher and you purchased a plan of 4 classes, you pay by credit card, and then in LearnCube, your account now has 4 classes to use. You create what's called a course in LearnCube every Tuesday. Next 4 weeks, that's 4 classes all used up. And then by the end of that, either they're buying another package or a plan, or you're going to have another discussion. So that's how LearnCube payments work. And the payment gateway, the most important idea here is that we are like the bridge. You will have the account with Stripe, which is the best credit card facility we've found, and PayPal. And then LearnCube just gets to know that, hey, somebody's paid, so they should have a certain number of credits. And that's how it all will work. This is what the administrator, or you as the teacher, will see. Basically, you can go to creating a single class or a course. I'm just going to show a course. Once I have basically this little pop-up comes for the courses. I'm just going to choose a teacher. We're teaching English. Let's say it's going to be beginner, and let's say it's going to be class with Jamie. But it could be a bit more descriptive about what we're going to be doing. Maybe it's on gerunds or something like that. Let's add a schedule. So let's say every Tuesday. We're going to do it for the next 4 weeks. So 4 occurrences. And we're going to start at, at 3 o'clock. So once we've got that there, we just click save. And we now have all of those classes lined up. Now, I would then enroll a student. Once a student's enrolled, that means that they're also going to be getting email reminders automatically, which is another great feature. On top of that, I know that sometimes you want to change a class time. And so on the calendar view, you can just change that with just a simple drag and drop. Inside the virtual classroom itself. Like, this is the space that you're in, day out, and you don't want it to be somebody else's brand. You want it to be your brand. So you can see the LearnCube logo at the top. That changes to your brand. You can see the little icon at the top. That can change to your own logo. You can even see that the background colors, if you want that to change, we have a variety of different color options. You can have that as something that reflects your brand, your personality, so that when somebody comes into your classroom, it feels that way. So remember, with the online school Lite, the student actually logs in, which means there's no like sharing of links or anything like that, but means that when they're actually in this experience, they're also wanting to see your brand. So you would see the brand at the top. You can see these buttons, see how they're green. So we can change this to reflect more of your own branding. So we have basically a color option for your brand. At the top here, you can see that we've got a certain sub domain. So we use this main domain here called Live Online Classes, something generic, but it means that I can put something that's not generic in front of it and really make it your brand. For example, jamie.liveonlineclasses.com, and that's what we'll do. So the branding comes in the logos in the virtual classroom and online school. It comes in terms of the colorways. It comes in terms of the background. And it also comes in terms of, in the platform itself, the color options and the subdomains. when people come to our website, they might be familiar that we can offer just the virtual classroom. But what I'm going to talk about today is what we call our online school Lite, which is not just the virtual classroom. It includes the virtual classroom, but it's all of the things we just talked about there, the scheduling, the payment gateways, the managing of your students, the managing of your content, everything's in there. And so just to kind of break that down, we have a one-time setup fee. At the moment, it's around $250. And for that, we're also needing to provide some training. Just like anyone, this is a system that you're going to want just a little bit of training and also possibly some social support. So we have some group training for our online school Lite subscribers. You're going to have some personal configurations. There may be certain aspects of the flow that you might want to get just right for you. For example, we have cancellation policies that are important for you. You've got the setup of the payment gateway, which is the particular part that takes a little bit of time, both on our side, but we need to connect our platform, the online school Lite, with your Stripe and PayPal accounts, and potentially if you have another payment method. So that's the setup fee. And then you have an ongoing subscription. This is something that most of you will be familiar with. This is for one individual teacher. So it's not something to be reused by other teachers. We have what's called our online school. That's for like 5 teachers. So I just want to clarify that this is the online school Lite made for independent individual teachers. And again, you have everything you'll need, which is the unlimited classes, users, content, the rest. That all comes in with that online school subscription. And then if you want, totally optional, but we have our ESL add-on, which gives you unlimited access to all of the content we talked about before, being young learner content, general, and business. So those are the 3 parts: setup fee one time, subscription, and if you want the ESL add-on, you're welcome to it. We also provide really great discounts for annual subscriptions, which are paid up front, but it's usually about 25% off.
Well, thanks so much, Alex, for showing us around the virtual classroom. I will have a link in the description in case you want to do a free trial. So can you tell us a little bit about what that experience will be like for teachers?
Totally. So when you sign up, you're signing up for our standalone virtual classroom. That's just the virtual classroom bit. So you can, just this experience that we're enjoying right now, you can add your own materials, really get a sense of what that classroom experience is like. Because if you like that, then you'll really love our online school Lite. And if you, for whatever reason, this isn't right for you, you'll know straight away. But in those 14 days, try it as much as you like, you can also ask our support team to upgrade you to our online school Lite solution. And so if you just go to, there's a little blue box where you can access our support team and just say, hey, look, I'd love to be able to learn more about the online school Lite. That's the best way to go about it. And we'll be able to upgrade you to the online school Lite, where you get the features we talked about today, things like scheduling, payment gateways, managing students, all the rest.
Yeah, so if you are a former teacher for an online company, or maybe you're thinking about starting as a freelance teacher, I definitely recommend checking it out, playing around in the classroom and seeing if you like it. But as someone who kind of did all this on her own without the payment gateways and everything, I really do recommend this solution if you're looking for kind of a full package. So thanks so much for showing us around today.
Likewise. Thanks again, Jamie.
I hope this video shows you how to become a freelance online teacher by using LearnCube to host your online lessons. LearnCube's online school Lite is a fantastic option for teachers who are looking to go freelance without all the hassles of payment and scheduling and curriculum, and if you want to have a professional looking virtual classroom. What questions do you have about teaching on LearnCube? Leave a comment down below. For more online teaching videos, you can check out this playlist and find me on Instagram at ESLTeacher365. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Happy teaching, and remember, the world is yours to teach and explore.